you guys enjoying the stream today?
しっかり足を踏み出して、体重を移動しながら腰をひねり、肩に力を伝えて、
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy, Andrew Esquire, and this is the Legal Mindset where we teach you, yes, you at home, to be your own judge. Today, we're going to have a chill stream going through the best produced Johnny Somali documentary, and I'm going to give my legal commentary and annotations, which I think are very important, especially the behind-the-scenes stuff, starting with the era in Korea. And I think when we put these two things together, it'll actually be the video as a whole, both the really well-produced, the documentary, as well as my commentary. I think it'll actually be a really good piece to do. And this is something that came out 2 weeks ago when I was extremely busy, so I hadn't had time to go through it all. And I thought, hey, I really want to do this live. I really want to do this as a chat. And also we'll get the comments from chat. We'll have fun. We'll play some memes and just, you know, cause rank. That's Ramsey and Hank, their shipping name, Rank. Will cause Ramsey and Hank some anxiety in their little love shack in Seoul, South Korea. It is great to see everybody here. John G says, Leighton Gay, Cabbage. I'm exactly when I want to be on time. It's exactly the right time for some cabbages. Jeremy Biver for 10 says, keep up the good work. Keep fighting the stupid looking for fame in the wrong way. And they found it. They found that negative fame, this is the price. This is what you get. This is what's worth it. Now, I will start here as a little bit of prelude and a little bit of a teaser because you guys are early. Yeah, I know. People like Ranky Panky, Ram Bob and Hendrick. Rank. It's very, very, very fitting. Also, what's up, Mom and Trill? Great channel. Check them out. Great commentary. Very, very good duo there, Mom and Trill. So in terms of what's coming, I don't want to spoil it because it needs to be a surprise. But let me just tell you guys, the Somali conviction team is working overtime right now to prepare this bombshell to drop. That should drop next week. So we should have something next week for you. I thought it might be done this week, but we want to make sure it's perfect because we here at the Somali conviction team, myself and the team, we do not take knee shots. We take headshots, and we are preparing an absolute headshot for Ramsey and possibly for Hanky Poo too. It's possible that this can hit Hanky Poo too. So we're cooking up something good for him next week. It is extremely exciting. So we're just going to have to chill. As they say in Thailand, sabai sabai. We're going to just chill today. We're going to go over this documentary, which I am really excited about because it is extremely well produced by a creator that does many well-produced documentaries. He did an amazing documentary of Nick Rekieta. He's done many other internet figures that have fallen off or, you know, found the bad way. He's done some great documentaries. We're going to get to that in just 1 second. Real quick here, Warren A with 5 Legal Mindset memberships. You know what that causes, Ramsey?
Emotional cabbage.
And Unhinged Valkyrie with 10. There we go.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Thank you for that. And if you received any of these, please say thank you. Also, Neko Girl coming in with 5. Neko Girl 862. Thank you, Neko Girl. And Az with 5. Thank you, Az and Neko Girl. Deeply appreciate that. Let's get a little.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
Dark Sky Maiden, thank you for the 1. John G says no back shots. That's only for Ranky Poo's private time. Okay. Florida Chris for 5 says, is there a scenario where RK skins Hank, converts him to leather, creates a sale, and makes it international waters? That is pretty dark, my friend. That is pretty dark. That's pretty dark. Maybe you should see a therapist. Alex Moffat as a new member. Thank you. All right. And then Taco World said the year is, hold on. I got this. I know the theme. We got to go. The year is 2028. The final trial of Johnny is due next week. Hank is out of money and has started trading favor for food for Johnny.
Oh, hell no.
Hank, I think the time may come when Hanky Poo, when Johnny is truly cooked, that Hanky Poo does what he normally does and searches for any way to get clout and attention, and eventually abandons his longtime ally. I think the Hank flip will come, but it's gonna come late in the game. It's gonna come when Loverboy is locked up. Thomas Yo for 15,000, Mano-chan. Says about creating asylums, some are necessary. Depends on if the family is supporting you and if it's a decent place. But if it's government run and the person feels abandoned, it can be hell. Just some awareness. Yeah, so some of them might be all right, and that's very much true, much like hospitals, etc. But some of them are not good. And this is what I've commented on with my friend Josh. He was commenting on Japanese asylums. He had a friend who actually died in a Japanese asylum. They're not all great. They're not all great. Platy gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Emotional damage.
Dave for 10 says, hey, Andrew, I love language learning. I was just wondering in your expat lifestyle if you've decided to pursue learning to speak anything else. If not, is there anything like learning? Yeah, I do learn the languages when I travel to a country. I learn a basic proficiency, basic words of the countries I travel to. I get a phrase book and I learn basic phrases anywhere I go. I think that's polite. I think it's basic courtesy. I'm in Thailand now. I spend a lot of time here. When I was in Korea, I had a Korean tutor. I studied Korean there. Now I'm actually going to be probably getting into formal classes now that my schedule is getting a little bit more normal. I'll probably be taking formal Thai classes soon. I've done a lot of self-learning, learning through YouTube, but sometimes there's a point at which you need a regimen to learn. And that helps you get over the edge. It's kind of like hiring a personal trainer at the gym. It just helps you learn and get over the hurdles and the plateaus. So I think to get over my plateau in Thai, I need to go to a class that'll push me to the next level. So yes, I do think it's an important thing to do. And if you love learning languages, keep doing that. I think languages are amazing and they teach you the culture of the country. And that's something that someone like Johnny Ramsey Khalid Ismail will never know, because he doesn't care for these countries. He doesn't care to learn about them, their language, their people, their culture. All he cares to do about them is profit. And that's nuisance streamers writ large. They really don't care. They just want to go there and mock the countries. In fact, one of the things they do is they intentionally missay words, right? They the Gomen Nasari in Japan, right? Intentionally, because they know it pisses them off, right? It's really ridiculous. Vital for 10 says, it's payday. Oh, thank you. Well, hey, congrats on payday. Always the best day of the month, payday. I only come to you for any RKI updates. I click the vid, realize it's not you, and go, nope. We all know who's at the heart of this thing. Thank you for your work and dedication. No problem. And guys, there's been a lot of misinformation recently. I do need to restate this. I think I saw I don't know, somebody told me that a channel said that Hank was getting charges. That is not true. There's a lot of people that are trying to push stuff for clickbait. Don't fall for it. If it's legal and it's happening in the RKI case or related to that, we're going to cover it on this channel. Don't you worry. We got all the ends. So if anything happens and it's real, we'll cover it. And then the other people can clip it. They can make commentary on it. That's fine. But if anything is actually happening, we'll cover it on this channel. Deadly Raver says, this is going to be the hit action movie of the summer. Ramsey Khalid Ismail is Somali man in Maximum Cabbage in cell blocks not near you. Yeah. All right. So let me talk a little bit about the, let me talk a little bit about what is coming for them. So the thing that we have here in this cycle is we have 3 months, or at this point it's almost, we're in June, so we're cooking towards 2.5 months until the next Johnny Somali trial date. However, a lot is happening right now in this trial. Right now, there are many things going on, like preparation for witnesses, right? But thinking about the cases they're going to present. There's probably going to be new defense filings. And a big thing is there can be new charges filed against Johnny Somali. And one of the big things is he's got a lot of charges hanging out there, both that have been filed and they have not pressed, as well as new charges that can be filed. So there are many things that can be filed against Johnny Somali. Excuse me, I got the hiccups today. I like chugged a Coke Zero before this. But there's many things that can be filed against him, which he has no idea about or doesn't see coming. And because Johnny Somali, Ramsey Khalid Ismail, has continued to stream for the past 8 or so months, regardless of whether or not he does it actively or intermittently, he's given us more than enough ammo in what he's already said to prepare plenty of stuff against him. And just because he's not actively streaming does not protect him from any of this at all whatsoever. And in fact, it's going to keep this going much, much more. Okay. So that's what we're going to have coming. Look forward to next week. It should be fantastic. Now, we're going to get into the documentary. This is a documentary by Turkey Tom. Turkey Tom's a great channel. Does a lot of documentaries, good stuff. And one thing, once again, everybody has their niche. Everybody thinks things they do well. I like to do the in-depth legal deep dives, getting into the details, going through everything on the cases that I cover. And I don't blame other channels, whether that's his channel or Nux or Asmongold or anybody else, for not knowing every detail of the Johnny Somali case. Even people that cover it closely, like Atozi, a friend of mine, right, who we've met, we've collaborated, we talk. Even he will occasionally get a detail wrong. And to be fair, occasionally I'll have to make corrections as well. Nobody's perfect. But one thing that these documentaries do is they're really engaging. They do a lot. They have a lot of good images. They have a lot of good captures. They use a lot of good footage. And I really want to, give appreciation and, positive attention to this creator who created this really great documentary. It's got over 400,000 views already on his channel, and go through and make it even more awesome with legal commentary. So we're going to go through this. This was put out just 2 weeks ago, and we're going to give some commentary to it. So if you guys, want to go about, you want to crack a beer, you want to get some, get some soju, whatever you want to do. I'm going to stick myself in this corner here, much like, Hank when he's watching Ramsey, and we're just going to go through this, and I'm going to take occasional breaks to get you guys comments and chats and stuff like that. And I'll give some updates to this as it goes. This is going to be long. This is an hour-long documentary. So sit back, relax. We're going to go until it finishes or until we get as far as we can get. So let's get through this. I'll get this comment here. Taco World says, idea for Johnny's next video, prison food tier list. That would be good. All right, boys, let's start the documentary.
To sacrifice to be famous on the internet? Your dignity? Your safety? Or what about your freedom?
I just want to apologize for what I've done. And
if the answer to these 3 questions is yes, then you might just be Johnny Somali, one of the most hated streamers in the world.
By the way, I will say one thing about this. Getting good photos is really difficult. So when I see a documentary that's able to pull out good photos and make good photos with really good editing, I'm really impressed by that, because the quality of these photos that he's pulled out is golden. I can't find good enough photos for my thumbnail sometimes because Ramsey is just ugly in all of them, right? So, so yeah. Robert Von Big for 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Emotional cabbage.
Thank you so much, brother. Let's go.
Who is now facing a maximum of 31 years in a South Korean prison. But how did it get this bad? Not much is known about the early life of Ramzi Khalid Ismail.
Well, we do know some about his early life. I'll stop here. But one thing I do try to do, and this is something that's a personal ethic of mine, is I try to leave his family out of it. So I generally focus on the crimes of the person, not on their family or extended family. I think that's a little bit unethical to stretch it out there, but I do understand when you're doing a documentary why you might go into that.
Before he began his content creation journey, Johnny was attending Arizona State University. At least that's according to him. He's also claimed to be a real estate manager, a financial advisor, and even the owner of a vape company. As dubious as these claims are, they pale in comparison to his supposed ethnic background. He claims that he is half Ethiopian and half Somalian, and has claimed to be a former child soldier and Somali pirate, both of which are certainly untrue. What is known is that Johnny
he also claimed to be Jewish, right? And he's not Jewish. He's claimed to be a lot of things, and he's very, very, very much not. Densha Otako for 10 says, always enjoy a good mockumentary. This is not really a mockumentary. It's like a documentary with some quips in there. So it's not full mockumentary. Let's go.
He began uploading videos onto YouTube in October of 2022. Unfortunately, his original YouTube channel has been removed from the platform due to violations that we'll certainly delve into later, meaning that some of these videos in their entirety are lost to time.
Well, they're not lost. We have most of his Korea videos. So for Korea, we've got everything. But for stuff that's like really old, we don't have that, right? So that's, I think, what he's referencing here. By the way, the new channel that's up or was up or etc., that's Hank's channel. So understand that Johnny's channel is still down.
However, judging by the uploads present, Johnny seemed to be focused on vlog-style content, mainly showing off his experience at parties or clubs. After his first video, documenting a Halloween party in Arizona, Johnny had a handful of uploads in Bangkok, Thailand. These vlogs are not offensive by any means.
This is actually, so fun fact, this is where I actually saw Johnny Somali. So I saw Johnny Somali when he was in Bangkok doing these videos, just walking around. I saw him. He was across the street. And I very vividly remember this. So it was not, once again, I don't think he gotten any confrontations then, but that's when he was becoming more infamous.
Means, if anything, they seem like innocent and earnest attempts at a career in content creation. Most of his videos only managed to get a few hundred views. However, he seemed to get lucky quite early, with a video titled "The Craziest Club in Bangkok" pulling in nearly 200,000 views in 4 months. Despite the spike in viewership, the content itself was nothing worth subscribing for, and he hardly saw any growth as a result. One viral video simply wasn't going to cut it for Johnny if he wanted to make a name for himself, and he needed to shake things up. This likely explains his decision to begin IRL streaming, something other.
See, and that's a problem, because see what he got into there was he got into the trap of being addicted to one viral video. So being addicted to viral content, and being addicted to viral content is a trap, because you never know what will go viral when, and trying to chase that is like trying to win the lottery twice. It's something that is going to end up wasting you completely. And it happens to a lot of young creators. And it's really a sad thing, because it gets their brain addicted to that dopamine hit of getting famous early. And they're always chasing that. And they're willing to do whatever to get back to that hit. So you almost have to be glad if you don't go viral, and you have to work hard, because then you're more dedicated to the long game than the short game. Right. And that I've seen that with many creators on many platforms. It's very much true.
Like Neon, Jack Doherty, and FouseyTube were finding success in at the time.
What? Little bro, what you gonna do? What you gonna do, bro? Yeah.
Of course, Johnny didn't just borrow their format. He also adopted their propensity to disturb the peace and farm clips. And he came up with the...
So that's something that is very much unique to IRL streaming, is the clip farming, and also, trying to create scenarios that are clippable, that go viral, right? That's part of the dark path, right? That's part of the way that you're going to end up in some trouble eventually, particularly if you're IRL streaming abroad, right? It's a problem. Justin Tan, Poke Me Hard, says for 10, I watched the whole documentary, but he never mentioned you. No, I think he does at one point. You're a pinnacle part of the RKI timeline, worth a mention in any video about him. I think he does, but we'll double check. Thomas Yu for 7,501. Do have to say that RKI Asylum will look like the scene from The Glory. Also love your coverage. Oh, I do like that. The Glory is great. Also love your coverage. You can say he'll be rammed Khalid Ismail. Rammed Khalid Ismail.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Let's continue.
The perfect environment to reign terror in. A country like Japan is a common destination for live streamers looking to spice up their content, with its beautiful cities, parks, restaurants, and general culture. However, most creators make it a priority to keep in mind the cultural expectations that come with visiting the land of the rising sun. One of those expectations is engaging in the strict social etiquette expected from Japan's citizens and its visitors, which emphasizes quiet, courteous, and polite behavior while in public.
It's not that hard. Right. And anybody who is just polite, like, it's not hard to be polite and courteous and thoughtful. They're not going to expect you in Japan to be fully Japanese, but they're going to expect you to have basic human dignity and courtesy, which is something that these streamers don't have. Basic manners, right? It's not that hard. Aaron Massa for 5 says, a good friend once told me famous folks stop developing emotionally at the age they become infamous. Yes, that is very true. This is very true. You don't want to become famous really, really early. It does hurt you. And I think it stunted Johnny as well.
Likely that these exact social staples are what drew Johnny Somali in, as they would exacerbate all of his public outbursts. And not only one day in, Johnny would make his presence in the country felt as he began harassing a Japanese citizen while riding the subway.
You know Hiroshima? You know Hiroshima? Nagasaki? You know. Why you do this? Pearl Harbor?
For no discernible reason, Johnny decided it was appropriate to interrogate a random stranger on why they did Pearl Harbor and brought up Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
So, you know, once again, super offensive, looking for clips, looking for rage bait, and he got it. To be fair, he got what he wanted in that moment. He got the rage, he got the clips, and he was fed that attention at that moment, at that exact moment.
Obviously in reference to when the United States dropped atomic bombs onto those cities.
Nagasaki, you know. You know Hiroshima, Nagasaki? We're gonna do again. What? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. We do again.
This is obviously ridiculous, not only because the man is clearly too young to have been alive or responsible for Pearl Harbor, but also because simply saying the names of two cities is not a clear slight or insult. Outside of the intent, it's just simply confusing. It's essentially the equivalent of walking up to an American and saying, New York City, Dallas, Texas, in the hopes of offending them somehow. This man, obviously confused about what was going on, and maybe even frightened by Johnny's aggressive diatribe, sat there trying to make sense of the situation. Luckily,
Yeah, so that would be pretty, you know, just to think about it from like a legal standpoint, right? That would be pretty intimidating, and you know, certainly there's certain situations where that could be different. I mean, I think about the Vitaly situation where he walked up to a woman and said, "I'm going to effing rob you." If Johnny Somali had framed that a little differently, there could have possibly been other charges that could have come from that, I think, in Japan. But definitely not a situation anybody asked to be in. Gin Blades, member for 15 months, based, says respecting the culture of just being polite is free and easy. Yet somehow these people fail at the most basic manner. Sad. It is very sad. Hollow Iceling says, whatever happened to when in Rome, they took that and they decided to say, we're the Romans and we're going to do whatever the F we want anyways, anywhere at all. And maybe that's why they've fallen, much like Rome.
a fellow American was also on the subway and decided to confront him.
You know. What? Okay, what do you mean? Where are you from?
By the way, this guy, super based Korean American, super based, and kind of in a way, this guy, the Korean stopping him, is a metaphor for what happened to him. Ultimately, it was Korea that ultimately has stopped his nuisance streaming reign of terror. So big ups to the Korean that came up and stopped him and said, what the F are you doing? Right? That to me is absolutely the best.
Emotional cabbage.
You know where I'm from? Where are you from? I'm from America. You're from America? Yes. So am I.
Johnny, likely
There you go. Boom.
believing he was also Japanese due to him being Asian, began incoherently yelling the names Hiroshima and Nagasaki at him as well. Of course, this also came along with threats of doing Pearl Harbor to you again.
So am I. You're from America? Yeah, you're being obnoxious. You know what we do to you? What do you do? We will do again. Do what? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. You understand? Do you think I'm Japanese? Where are you from? I'm from America. Where are you from? What's your name? Texas, buddy.
Now, realizing that his insults
I
make
love that. Texas, buddy. Kevin says, just make RKI mad when he sees, oh yeah, guys, like the video, like this stream, because Ramsey has already put a couple dislikes on it, Ramsey and Hank. So we got to balance it out. So like the stream right now, make them seethe. Pirate Skeleton says for $4.99, the city's names thing is a lot closer to yelling 9/11, but 50 years removed from the event. Exactly. It's like yelling like Vietnam or something. Like it's a dated reference, right? That a young person wouldn't really be responsible for.
even less sense directed at a Korean guy. He begins reminding him of the Korean War.
Korean War, you know what happened to you?
Come on, don't touch me. Obnoxious, brother.
Don't touch me,
Leave
brother.
this guy alone.
Korean War, North Korean War, you know what we did to you?
This line in
This is hilarious. Angel A. Rayburn says, wanted that, get that goal. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. We are almost hitting that goal. We're 2 away from the goal, guys, today. So thank you so much for that. Thanks for supporting this, and thanks for making Cabbage Boy cope.
Particular, you know what we did to you, is extremely funny when you consider that this guy could potentially be and is most likely of South Korean heritage. During the Korean War, the United States allied themselves with South Korea and assisted them in maintaining their sovereignty after North Korea invaded them. Johnny clearly seems to believe the Korean War was fought between the United States and Korea, a country that has technically not existed since 1945. The two would argue for some time before Johnny reached his stop and got off the subway. Fortunately for him, the situation had not escalated any further than a brief confrontation. However, it seems that someone amongst his very small viewership decided to clip this interaction on the subway, and it eventually found its way to both Reddit and Twitter. The clip quickly picked up millions of views and infuriated almost everyone who saw it.
Which also is great because it actually just got him attention but didn't earn him any money, which is hilarious. So Johnny actually didn't earn much money off that himself. It actually just circulated, which is grand. The Voidger for 125 Philippine pesos says Korean American managed band foreshadows RKI's fate in South Korea. Absolute cinema. Did Kojima write this? It's almost as perfect.
Unsurprisingly, Japanese citizens became particularly enraged by what they saw, and one even—
This is a good one. Hold on. Mr. MC says, is RKI's weakness Koreanite? I love it.
took it upon themselves to confront Johnny directly.
No problem. It's no problem. Over to you. It's no problem. No. No, we did. Hey, we chill. Bye-bye.
The man eventually gets off his bike and starts walking towards him, which causes a visibly frightened Johnny to begin backing up. After walking away for some time, the man approaches on his bike once again, although he was not nearly as hostile as he would have initially assumed, simply hoping to have a discussion about what had gone down.
Somebody give me your money? No.
See, which, by the way, that tells you how polite the culture of Korea, Japan exactly is. That, you know, people want to start by having a conversation with you, but Johnny Somali doesn't want to have a conversation, and he's always disingenuous. He'll always lie and back down and run away, which is sad. Also, hey, Yellow Flash in the chat, good to see other creators there. Angel Rabbit, Cabbage Boy Copium, yeah, hell yeah. Repton says, in the words of Andrew Tate, brokey.
Somebody give me money, and they said, say it.
No.
So I said it on the train.
You say it?
Yeah. Somebody give me money.
Somebody?
You know, donation.
So who?
Somebody on YouTube and Twitch.
YouTube comment?
Yeah, YouTube comment, give me money.
When asked for a reason as to why he did what he did, he claimed he was told to do so by a donator, which seems to—
I love how that's a defense. Oh, I was paid money to do it. So if I paid you money to do something else illegal, you just do it, right? You're just the dancing monkey, so to say, you know, as the expression goes, that, you know, you put $1 in the hat and you're going to do whatever. Like, that's ridiculous. To
be a blatant lie. But even if someone did give him money, it's not like Johnny had to do what they said. He could have just ignored the donation. He has free will. At least I think he does. Shortly after, the police show up and question Johnny, although he received no real consequences at the time, other than a week-long ban from streaming on Kick.
Which, once again, these week-long bans actually make you more popular. So I'm not a big fan of these week-long bans. I think they're kind of a way to promote you rather than really hurt you. You should be, you know, banned for a serious amount of time from the platform. Ricardo Fung for 99 says, crying cabbages arcade, cry while you see Mr. Mindset succeed. And we hit the goal. And you know what that means.
Emotional damage.
Big coat from Ramsey. Thank you so much for being a really great support to the channel. I love and appreciate all of you. Fitty Tucker for 10 says, swear jar and goal and RKI Cope C. Does every video you do constantly get 2 dislikes? I wonder who those are. It's Ranky. Blind Man Travel says that dude was too young to be involved with anything involving World War II and was trying to mind his business. He was just trying to ride home on the subway. I guarantee it. VS says it's like an episode of Italia. That's not wrong. Gary Lee for 199 says in the US, Ramsey would have been killed. He could have been. Larry Powers says RKI, the donor made me do it, not a defense, and will definitely not hold up in court. But what does hold up is 50 legal mindset from Garrett Grant. Say thank you to Garrett in the chat if you received one of those. Extremely based. I'm loving it.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
Thank you so much, Garrett. Appreciate you. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
primary platform of choice. Aside from that, if anything, he was positively reinforced by the situation, with a whole new set of eyes on his content waiting to see what he would do next. But as it turns out, Johnny wouldn't have to do anything to find his next viral moment. The day he returned to live streaming, Johnny made a promise to clean up his act moving forward. However, while making the promise, he was attacked on the street.
Let's be respectful, you know what I mean? I hope nobody in the chat was saying weird. If I go back and whoa.
Regardless of his stated intentions to respect the Japanese people, a large target remained on his back. And so, there was no incentive for him to behave cordially either, considering that as long as he remained in Japan, he would also remain a prime target for confrontation. A few days later, a group
and he knew that. He actually knew that, and he farmed that. So he was farming these interactions and trying to get these people to come after him because he'd be able to use that as content. That's part of his strategy. Thomas for Saman says, hi Hank, life advice. Your parents paid more than what people make in decades to fix your life, not to mention your uni tuition and goodwill in Korea. Want a girlfriend or a job letter? Solution: ditch Johnny and apologize. Yeah, and you know what, he will be very lucky if he doesn't get kicked out of school, because if they find out about this thing with Johnny, they will absolutely expel him from school. He's probably unhirable at this point. Yurik for 10 says multiple embassies list do not travel on the Sulu Islands due to risk of terrorism, kidnapping. More so, Vitaly used them to escape the country. If he's out on bond or meaning bail, could end very badly. Yeah, it would be really hilarious if he tries to go the pirate route to get out. But I don't think Vitaly should be granted bail at all. That's my personal opinion.
Of young men, led by the Japanese YouTubers Rengoku and Guts, vowed to find Johnny and scare him out of the country. And it wasn't long until they located the Airbnb he was staying at. What's more, likely in an attempt to get Johnny banned on Kick, Rengoku stripped completely naked in direct sight of Johnny's camera. Luckily for Johnny, an English and Japanese-speaking translator was able to de-escalate the situation, and Johnny formally issued an apology.
Gomenasai, Japan. Gomenasai. I'm sorry.
So what? So chat. Let's put a poll in the chat right now. Was Johnny really sorry? Let's see what the chat thinks. Do you buy this? Do you buy this apology, guys? Do you think this was a great apology that was truly real, that we should take seriously? Christina Kozel for 199, thank you. Just a Dank Raven said, greetings, sir Andrew. Happy Friday. Stay hydrated. I am. It's a lovely Friday. Let's continue.
Many in the chat, including Johnny's translator, seemed unconvinced that his apology was sincere.
No, I am trying to learn. I told them sorry.
You were barely trying.
I told them sorry.
But regardless, Johnny did have a real chance to turn things around here. The Japanese YouTubers were willing to let sleeping dogs lie and just back off. But Johnny was starting to develop an addiction to an extremely powerful drug: attention. He had gotten a few viral clips on Twitter and Reddit, and while the attention was all negative, his audience was undoubtedly growing, even if all of the newcomers were just there to see whatever shenanigans he got into and encourage his bad behavior. Ultimately, this chance to turn things around would be squandered, as only a day later, Johnny would have the police called on him again for disturbing the peace on the subway.
We are going to police station.
Why? Why police station?
To hear your opinion on their
My passport's okay.
Apparently, one of the men present for the confrontation the night prior was following Johnny and called the police on him when he noticed him acting belligerent. Despite this, the police were kind and
at this point, and this is the thing, you can't go back to being anonymous after that. So you've gone and caused problems, and then you want to go and you want to try to cause more because you're addicted to cause more. But now people are following your every move. This is what happened in Korea. At first, people really didn't give him that much attention. But as he escalated his behavior, people started following him more and more and more. And now we're at the point where I'm making a stream that gets hundreds of thousands of views, and I'm making videos making 100,000 views, which in turn get copied around the internet and get millions of views for every little inch that he crosses, every little breath he takes, right? Every move he makes, I'll be watching him. And that has that's kind of the cycle you go through with this. And he didn't really realize how that was going to end up negative for him. It had some negative consequences in Japan, but certainly it's gotten even worse in Korea. Rapton says for 5, sorry, I got caught. It's all right. Jonathan Martinez for 20 says, this is to support Ramsey's emotional damage. Well, because he has emotional damage, I'll give you an emotional cabbage.
Emotional cabbage.
Let's go.
Cordial with him, although their English was insufficient to effectively communicate. So they asked him to travel with them to the police station to meet an interpreter. This request greatly upset Johnny, who claimed to be a victim of racist persecution.
USA Embassy, I will go. This is racism.
Despite this supposedly unfair...
By the way, it's not racism, and the embassy isn't going to help you. And by the way, even if it was racism, that isn't necessarily illegal in other countries. Fun fact.
Treatment. The police officers here were both patient and kind, and even escorted him to a nearby taxi and allowed him to leave. This should have been Johnny's sign to leave the country and return home, as it was clear that nobody wanted him there. However, likely blinded by the prospects of capitalizing on his recent infamy, he chose to stay. Unsurprisingly, a long string of encounters with Japanese citizens would occur over the coming months. A short while after this fiasco, Johnny was once again attacked in the street.
Right now, hop in Discord. Oh, whoa, what the?
In only a few weeks, Johnny had managed to find himself not only as the most hated man in Japan, but also one of the most hated on the entire internet. Many were calling for his immediate deportation, while others were hoping for a potential jail sentence instead.
Which once again, you're seeing the mirrors here of like people were really hoping they could spend time behind bars. Gary Lee says, where's Ramsey now? Haven't seen him in a while. He is shutting up. He's in Hank's apartment. He's hiding out. I think he's realized things are getting serious and he's realizing we're dropping the bomb. Hackfish says, Legal Mindset, this documentary just proves how weak Japan is. Let's wait till the end of the Japan part before we come to conclusions. Christina Kozel for $1.99. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Whether it be due to the immense backlash or the increasing hostility he was facing, Johnny seemed to believe that remaining in Japan was untenable for now. So he opted for a quick trip to Bali before returning, but not to Japan, but instead...
By the way, I think it was in Bali. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said he like slept with a lady boy in Bali. I think that's that's part of the record. I just want to add that. That's a totally legal comment that I'm adding to the record.
To Thailand. Despite his fears of unsavory consequences for his actions, Johnny had no intention of cleaning up his act. One of his main reasons for even visiting Thailand in the first place was to potentially come in contact with Ice Poseidon, the original IRL streamer.
So there you have the cross paths of Ice Poseidon. He was trying to kind of clout Jack off of Ice Poseidon, which is kind of what a lot of these streamers do, is they try to model Ice.
And as luck would have it, Johnny would find the perfect opportunity to introduce himself. In late June of 2023, Ice Poseidon was enjoying dinner with his girlfriend at a restaurant in Thailand. A fellow streamer, not with his group, eventually approached the table and began having a discussion, before stripping down his clothes to reveal a set of women's lingerie.
Which is totally illegal, and to stream it is totally not okay.
One of the staff graciously asked the man to put his clothes back on, which he did listen to. However, Ice decided to remove his clothes shortly after and put the underwear on himself. Ice then proceeded to comedically give his girl...
So Ice Poseidon was told not to do something and didn't do it. It wasn't like, oh, it was accidental. He did it after being told not to do it, which, yeah, that definitely didn't go well for him here. You're gonna see that part of the legal saga.
Girlfriend a lap dance, while his friend kept their private dining room door locked. If you did something like this in the United States, you would probably be kicked out of the restaurant in the worst case scenario. However, in Thailand, they handled disturbances like this very differently. The general manager...
It was also streamed, which is a big deal. It was streamed.
Along with a handful of security guards, burst through the doors and confronted the group immediately.
And I would like all of you to go to the police station now. If you are doing something like this, it's unrespectful for Thai culture.
No, we're not doing any of that. We don't do it. No, it's not like that. We're not.
I see the photo, and all of them have CCTV.
With the police on their way, the manager continued to scold the group for their behavior. Meanwhile, Johnny Somali was streaming nearby, and his chat informed him of what was happening. So he made his way to the restaurant with the intention of saving Ice Poseidon.
I'm here as a lawyer. Listen, I have to save Chris.
Can you please turn off your live stream?
Oh no, it's not on. It's on.
It's not.
It's
off.
live.
Please get out.
We have to save. I'm here. I'm the lawyer.
They're not dumb. They knew immediately it was not off.
Johnny quickly made his way out, and Ice and his friends were taken to the police station a short while after. Of course, he wasn't done stirring the pot from there. He decided that he should visit the police station in the hopes of protesting the arrest, although the police standing by refused his request to meet up with the group, and he was eventually told to leave. The issue with Ice and his trip to Thailand would linger for some time, with him spending a few months in jail before finally being allowed to leave. However, for Johnny, the moment had ended as...
Now banned for probably life. So yeah, Ice is not coming back here probably for life, especially after a lot of what he said. So yeah, Ice is persona non grata. Real quick, Norbert Frohlich, Guten Tag, Herr Mindset, Legal Mindset. Perfect entertainment to start off the weekend. Got a bottle of soju and a can of Japanese beer right here to celebrate the downfall of RKI. Prost! A prost to you. Prost zum Gemütlichkeit. Marcin Wozak says something insanity play. Allison Brown for 10 says, what's the point of RKI streaming and recording alone? Or how do you met Hank and that other fella that escaped the US? No, this is before he met Hank. So this documentary is picking up from before he met Hank. Thomas Yu says, fun fact, RK is lucky if martial law happened. Ooh, yeah. Lucio says, for €5, the only thing relevant to me about Bali is Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Yeah, and one of the things I can point out here is he was trying to model himself after Ice Poseidon. And one of the things he should have learned there, seeing how close Ice Poseidon came to spending serious time behind bars. He was this close to spending some real time in jail. He should have taken a lesson from that and said, you know what? Maybe I don't want to push it to the point where people get arrested. And this is a point at which the whole IRL community could have had a reckoning and said, we're going to turn this around. But instead they said, hey, let's make it worse and let's keep escalating, because that wasn't enough, right? That kind of shows letting them go is not enough. You got to put them behind bars.
As soon as it started. And oddly enough, it was probably the least severe moment of his career thus far. But I'm sure you can guess that he would be back to wreaking havoc in his current stomping grounds. While Ice was still in police custody, Johnny was informed by his chat that a previous collaborator of Ice Poseidon, Burger Planet, also affectionately known as Burger Andy, was nearby eating dinner outside. So he decided to provoke him.
Get the out of here.
This interaction seemingly wasn't enough for Johnny, and a few days later, he would confront Burger Planet once again. Johnny was made aware that he, as well as infamous live streamer Sam Pepper, were hanging out at a nearby restaurant. With the intention of potentially farming a few extra clips, Johnny certainly got a lot more than he expected.
Come on, bro. There's a beautiful gift for you guys.
Get out of here. Leave us alone.
Shout out Eddie, dog. Shout out Eddie.
And this is a common thing where nobody wants anything to do with Johnny Somali. You know it's bad when IRL streamers don't want anything to do with you.
Clips like these really go to show just how despised someone like Johnny Somali had already become. Burger Andy and Sam Pepper are by no means well liked within the live streaming sphere. In fact, they're probably some of the most disliked people you can find in the entire community. And yet, nearly everyone was on their side for this interaction. Regardless of how much of a nuisance Johnny was being, it was unbelievably satisfying for viewers to see him humbled in a manner like this. But by that same token, Johnny was giving people exactly what they wanted. It didn't really matter who came out of each situation as the winner or the loser. All that truly mattered was how many eyes he could attract to his platform. But just because Johnny was finding success stream sniping other creators didn't mean his encounters with strangers were over, with an English-speaking man who was married to a Japanese woman directly confronting him for his behavior.
You go there insulting people like that. You know how many people died from Hiroshima joking about that?
I know.
So why are you joking about the people?
I was drunk. I was drunk. I know
how many families suffered, people suffered because of that. You're on the train harassing people like that?
I was drunk.
In my research, I've never heard Johnny defend his outburst on the subway as a byproduct.
And he wasn't drunk at all. Like, it's clear watching the video, he was not drunk at all. Now, he is drunk in many of the things he does in Korea. That we actually know. He has been drunk for that. But by the way, being drunk is not a defense to this. By the way, 97% say Johnny is really sorry, and the last 3% are trolls or or Johnny and Hank on their bot accounts. Let's continue.
Product of being drunk, so I'm pretty sure this is a lie he made up on the spot.
By the way, like the video, guys. We're over 1,000, but let's get even higher. We need to get 2,000 likes. Just like the video, guys.
In fear of getting beat up, Johnny would be.
And that dude is definitely jacked, by the way.
Be recognized again while walking through the streets in Thailand, this time by a young couple having drinks. While the man just verbally berated him, the woman got a little more physical.
Oh, well, also, I'm pretty sure, let me go back. This is probably somewhere where he shouldn't be filming. This is probably somewhere he shouldn't have been filming.
Oh, I feel good. Wow. Oh, yeah, oh my God.
This girl, who was almost certainly drunk during this encounter, likely didn't realize that her outburst only benefited Johnny in the long run. The same can't be said for his next encounter. A short while later, Johnny would be recognized by another English-speaking man while roaming the streets, who wouldn't show nearly as much restraint as his last two encounters.
No.
I think this dude messaged me. I've been so busy I haven't been able to get back to him, but instead of time, I think this dude messaged me. I think this dude is the dude I need to interview. So I think this dude is the one that wrote me. So I think I need to get back. If you're that dude, by the way, ping me again on Instagram or Gmail or whatever. I've had flooded with work, but I need to interview that guy if it's that guy. So that's a one from the Punch archive of Johnny Somali. Voider said using drunkenness as a defense is insulting to innocent drunk drivers. Oof.
Clearly, Johnny's attempts to dodge confrontation by fleeing Japan did very little in solving the issue, so he figured he might as well return to where it all started. If he was going to get perpetually beat up and screamed at regardless of where he went, he may as well do it in a place where he can farm as many clips as possible. While in Thailand, he claimed that he intended on returning to Japan in the hopes of apologizing to its people.
I'm going back to Japan soon, so I can make a proper apology to the Japanese people.
But it doesn't seem like Johnny had any intentions on.
Ooh, by the way, Meme Copium says might be possible to hit up the guy that punched Johnny in Osaka. He's a cafe owner. Let's look into that, Josh. That'd be some good Japan content. Some Japan content. That'd be great. We could collab on that.
Following through with this promise. Unless, of course, he felt as though twerking in the middle of a subway the second he arrived in the country was a proper way to apologize. Johnny's second trip to Japan would somehow manage to be even more chaotic than the first, now accompanied by a fellow streamer named Gino, who would only serve to bounce off of Johnny and make his antics so much worse.
And Gino, by the way, almost got really beat up in Thailand when he was messing around.
And let me tell you guys, this Gino fella is a real scholar, a true intellectual.
I would wake up and I would check my underwear and it would be like, bro, it was just all in my underwear, bro. Like, it was just gooey, crusty. It was a mixture of gooey, crusty. Like, when I would wake up in the morning, it's just gooey, crusty, all in my boxers.
With a new part.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell.
Partner in crime, Johnny was reinvigorated to get back out there and start ruffling some feathers, which he quickly got to work on.
I'll f***ing beat you! I'll f***ing beat you! I'll f***ing beat you!
A notable moment early in their second trip came when Johnny, along with Gino, decided to stop by a McDonald's at 1 a.m. Very early into entering the store, Johnny is extremely rude and makes a racist remark about the Japanese language.
What does this say? Yo, this is in Mulan language. What does it say? This is in Mulan language. What does it say?
While ordering his food, Johnny is unnecessarily loud and verbally aggressive to the woman taking his order. However, things get worse when a different employee brings them their food, but requests them to not point the camera at him. Of course, Johnny immediately points the camera towards the employee, causing them to walk away with their food and promptly call the police.
Give me the food.
I'm getting you on camera, bro. Just give me the food. Bro, just
we already paid for the food. Just give us the food.
Whoa!
Johnny and his friend decide that it's appropriate to start yelling and screaming belligerently before—
completely inappropriate, and by the way, completely justified to not serve these people, right? They can deny service for this behavior, absolutely, right? In addition, I mean, they're also obstructing business, if you think about it, right? They're delaying the normal services because they're deciding to be nuisance streamers in the McDonald's, right? So yeah, definitely was justified to do that and not serve them.
Charging back into the store and demanding their food. Likely getting sick of their incessant nagging, the employee caved and handed them their order. However, as they began walking out of the store, a man on a bike confronted him. Johnny clearly shows a disregard for anyone who isn't himself, prioritizing any viral moment or snappy headline to potentially get him a few extra subscribers. This is best exemplified when he encountered a Japanese Twitch streamer named Meowko.
You live right now? What you live on? What you live on?
So he stream sniped her, which means hunted her down in I believe Osaka, and like intentionally came to harass her and also to get her in trouble on her streaming platform because he was saying things that he knew would get her kicked off the streaming platform that she's on.
I am live on Twitch.
Twitch.
So he knows what's going to get her kicked off on Twitch because Twitch has very specific terms of service. So he goes and says things that he knows are going to get her in trouble on Twitch because he's on Kick, which barely enforces the rules at all, let's say.
I'm on Kick. How many viewers you got?
I have like 2,000.
2,000?
Yes.
I got 1,300. Why you blocking her? Why you blocking her? Oh my God, you got my name right here. You doxing me? What's up, dog? Where you from?
Ramsey Khalid Ismail, guys. Ramsey Khalid Ismail. Even back then, he hated the name. He hated the name. Say it together. RKI, Ramsey Khalid Ismail.
Miałko, likely unaware of who Johnny was at first, had no problem pointing the camera at him while engaging in conversation. The issue here is that Johnny is banned on Twitch. And for those of you in the audience who are unaware, Twitch has a very archaic rule where Twitch streamers are not allowed to feature banned streamers on their platform, not even on accident, meaning that Johnny was directly putting Miałko at risk for a ban.
And he did that intentionally, right? He did it intentionally so that they would have to say, oh, she was banned for showing Johnny Somali, for showing Ramsey Khalid Ismail, which would pump his own notoriety, right? You see what he's trying to do here. That's the mind of a nuisance streamer. It's really fucked up.
While not realizing it at first, she quickly changes her demeanor when her chat informs her of who she's actually talking to.
What's up? How you doing? Yeah, I'm Johnny Somali. Somali. Yeah, Johnny Somali.
Wait,
I'm your friend. I'm Johnny Somali. I'm the most famous in Japan. What's up? Who are you?
Johnny directly tells her to get banned as she walks away, implying that he knew what he was doing all along and was maliciously trying to get her stream shut down.
100% true. He absolutely knew 100% this would get her in trouble.
Get banned, bitch.
Later on Miałko's stream, the young woman is seen visibly upset with tears in her eyes. On Twitter, Miałko revealed she had spoken with Twitch and managed to avoid a ban, and explains why she was so upset in the clip. I hope he leaves Japan soon. I felt helpless that I couldn't do anything even though he was right in front of me. Thank you everyone for your concern. Although that's not to say the interaction didn't affect her, with her claiming on stream that the interaction nearly gave her a panic attack. With the news that Johnny Somali was back and terrorizing anyone he could, it's no surprise that the local citizens and visitors alike became far more aggressive towards Johnny.
All you have to say
don't grab nothing. Oh,
got him.
With two clean.
That was a Hadouken level. That was a Hadouken level punch. But once again, it's after he's done all these things. Johnny likes to make it out like these things and these incidents come out of nowhere and that people react like this for no reason. He's just innocent little Johnny parading down the street. You can see it's not. It's after he's gone after, people maliciously, and he's gone off on these nuisance campaigns, and only after he's been in the country and done so much wrong do people escalate like this, right? Someone wants a replay on that? Okay, hold on. We'll do a little replay on that. Although it's censored on YouTube.
Oh,
aggressive towards Johnny.
All you have to say
don't grab nothing. Oh.
With two clean punches, both Johnny and Gino were knocked out cold. As they regained consciousness and picked up their cameras, it's clear to see that Johnny's mouth was visibly bloody from the encounter. For most people, getting punched in the face multiple times in public would be a big wake-up call. A moment of clarity to realize that the path you're on is the wrong one, whether it be because you want to do the right thing and stop being a nuisance to everyone around you, or because you just want to keep all of the teeth in your mouth. It's the time to quit. But this did not deter Johnny by any means. One of the main
reasons. We finally got Ranky. We're coming to Ranky, guys. We're getting to the Ranky sector. Get ready for Ranky, everyone. Chaos Smash says, Johnny bringing the hood to other countries. Thomas Yu says, for 7,500, gotta leave, but first adding Hank, reclaim your life from Johnny and make peace with your family from one Korean American to another Legal Minds. Thank you so much for that comment, Thomas Yu. Good luck out there, and thank you for your comments. ID Peace, BOA 46 says for $10. I spent 2 years as an English teacher in Japan at an Akaiwa and a jet. What were you doing? It's such a beautiful country with kind citizens. I literally can't imagine acting like this in Japan. He deserves every minute he gets. I know. I've never acted like that in Japan ever. I'll be in Japan next month, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I think I'm gonna have a fantastic time. Norbert Froelich says for 10. To endure this video, I feel the need to get drunk. And if I eventually be drunk, I won't be harassing anyone later in the streets. I do like the Finns do and practice. Okay, I cannot say that word. Let me try it. Kasrikanit? Prost. My Finnish is not a strong language.
Reasons
I like what someone said in the chat. Exit Gino, enter Hank. That's a great comment. This,
aside from the increased viewership, is the lack of legal repercussions. Despite Japan having strict social principles, these don't necessarily translate to any form of law that could put him in jail or get him deported. But Johnny would eventually fly too close to the sun and get himself put in handcuffs. In late September of 2023, he found himself next to an active construction zone and decided to enter the job site without permission.
Oh, he's going into the...
Which is per se trespassing and obstruction of business. So what he did here, clear trespassing and obstruction of business. Straight up. Asian Dragon says, but will this documentary help her appeal to help her unban because this was not purpose of the ban evasion and Twitch is strict on TOS? No, Miyako's fine right now. Miyako's doing fine right now. She's not having any problems, so she's fine.
Warehouse? Nah, this is wild. I'm just a cameraman right here. I'm just a cameraman. I don't know what the is going on right now.
Even Gino, who has no problem with egging Johnny on in other situations, verbally expressed discomfort here, giving himself...
By the way, I'm just the cameraman. Not a defense. That's like the Sly Kane defense with Vitaly, right? I'm just the cameraman. No, you're not. You're what we would call a criminal accomplice. You have agency over your body. You can say, I'm not doing that. That's like saying, I'm just the getaway driver. You don't get out of it. You're an accomplice at that point. Got to think about it.
An alibi for a potential arrest by saying, I'm just a cameraman. Johnny continues to make his way through the construction zone with a skeleton mask covering his face, and eventually one of the workers stands up to him.
Oh, he's mad.
Hey, oh, Fukushima.
Johnny then begins exclaiming Fukushima, referencing the nuclear meltdown that occurred in 2011, which displaced over 150,000 people from their homes. This not only rescinds all of his previous apologies, but it also shows him actively doubling down on his obnoxious behavior. Johnny was able to escape repercussions for a few hours, but eventually the police tracked him down and arrested him outside of a 7-Eleven.
And very good work by the police here. So this is where I will say the Japanese did a W, is they moved on this and they arrested him quickly. I think that part was handled very well. Schwabi says, keep up the good work. Oh, I have no plan of stopping. No plan of stopping. Let's continue.
Gino was not on the scene at the time of his arrest and reacted to the news from his hotel room.
Gino, they're going to get you as an accomplice? You think so? What do you mean they're looking for me? I'm in my hotel right now, bro.
Gino seemed to believe that he was safe from being arrested, and he decided to step outside of his room after waiting a few hours. What he didn't realize, however, was that the police were outside waiting for him. Gino eventually shut off his live.
This is probably, so let's think about Gino real quick. So Gino getting arrested here is probably why he fled Korea so fast when the heat was coming down on Johnny, and he barely escaped being stopped by one day. I think had it been a day or two later, Gino would have been stopped as well. So I think Gino barely got away from Korea, and I think it's probably because he was more scared after this incident, which he was smart to be scared. He was right to be scared, right? Brian says, catching up and on the Japan part, I went last year and I only went there really knowing how to say thank you, sorry, excuse me. And they're incredibly nice. And even the smallest attempt, Johnny Small is a moron. I agree. You don't have to do that much. You don't have to do that much. It's not that hard. Gao Yang says, hey, Legal Minds, are you doing any meet and greet in July? Maybe in Tokyo. We might do one in Tokyo. It's possible. Voiger says, I'm just a cameraman, can be a defense. After all, what can you do against crime if you are just a camera? That's a good one.
Emotional, damn it.
I'm just a simple camera.
Live stream, and he was taken to the police station a short time later. Although, as it turns out, his arrest had seemingly nothing to do with him trespassing in the construction zone. Rather, it was the result of him blasting loud text-to-speech donations while in a restaurant.
Chinese virus. Chinese virus.
Anonymous.
Huawei.
China number
Huawei.
one. China number one.
We wouldn't hear much from Johnny or Gino for the next 2 months, as they were too preoccupied with court hearings to find time to harass more innocent people. But in late November of 2023, Gino would make a surprise appearance on his Kick channel to explain what had been going on since their disappearance. Gino explained that he had personally managed to dodge any legal repercussions. However, Johnny was charged for the public disturbance at the restaurant and was facing a potential sentence of 6 months in prison. In court,
which, once again, that was the maximum under their law, was 6 months. So they couldn't do more than 6 months. Now Japan can actually hold you for quite a while, but they couldn't put him behind bars for more than 6.
Johnny vowed to stop live streaming and return to America, where he would supposedly resume his studies.
Also, see, what did he tell the judge? He told the judge, I'm going to be a good boy. I'm going to stop live streaming and go back to study. Let's play that one more time. Let's play that one more time.
Johnny vowed to stop live streaming and return to America, where he would supposedly resume his studies.
Did he do that? No, not at all. In fact, he lied to the Korean judge and said he was a student. He's not. He's not. So this is something that absolutely can be presented to the court in Korea, where they say, hey, look, he told it in Japan. He told the judge he was going to stop live streaming. He's going to be a good boy, go back to study. He didn't do that. He's just lying, and anything he's doing here to get out of the situation, just like Japan. All he does is lie.
Ultimately, he was released from custody in January 2024 and given a fine of 200,000 yen.
And that shows you 200,000 yen. And let's convert that real quick to, $2,010. 200,000 yen is about $1,300. So a $1,300, $1,400 fine is not enough. These fines are not enough to make them actually recover and do the right thing. So this is why we got to the point where, jail time needs to happen.
A little under 1,400 United.
Yes, and yes, this is yen, bros. This is yen. So 1,400 USD. Not dollars. This is not dollars.
United States dollars. You may be confused as to why he would get off so easily. Well, it likely has something to do with the fact that he lied to the judge about numerous things.
The prosecutor asked me, you earn money from advertisers in your videos online, right? I said, no.
See, he lied to the prosecutors and he fucking laughed about it. He lied to the prosecutors in Korea and he's laughing about it. And he thinks he can do the exact same thing in Korea. And he thinks he's going to get away with it again. He really does. He genuinely does.
I said no. But you do earn money, right? No.
Of course, if he was willing to lie about his income, he probably also lied about his intentions to stop streaming and get a real job, which turned out to be the case. Johnny was fully committed to continuing his campaign, but Japan was off the table for obvious reasons.
By the way, Rian says, anyone ever grab and smash their phones? I think they do have this happen sometimes. So I think this does happen with live streamers in these other countries. I do think that happens.
Including the fact that he was banned from the country until 2029. So he needed to find a new country that would provide him a bounty of opportunities to disturb the peace. And he decided that there was no better place to go than Israel. I'm sure many of you are somewhat familiar with the situation happening right now between Israel and Palestine. And with the recent events on October 7th, the issue is still fresh in the minds of millions of people around the world. It was in March of 2024 when Johnny booked his flights and set off to Israel, while the fallout from the attacks was still very fresh. This in and of itself was a bad sign. But when you also consider that Israel has a large population of both Jews and Arabs, the potential for Johnny to bring up sensitive issues is super high. Only a few days after arriving, Johnny was quickly making his impact.
And also, I will say, he is lucky he did not die. He is very lucky he did not get shot.
Felt, and he found himself getting jumped almost immediately.
Hey, yo, what was the problem earlier? What was the problem earlier?
Luckily for him, getting punched in the face was the worst thing he had to deal with. Meanwhile, the man who attacked him was put in handcuffs. While being arrested, Johnny approached him and began taunting him and calling him a monkey.
Go to jail, monkey! Monkey! You monkey! Go to jail, you monkey!
This outburst greatly upset one of the man's friends, who began pressing Johnny and threatening him, although he was held back and the situation did not escalate. That is, until Johnny began walking away, and a few more of his friends ran up on him and assaulted him.
Oh! Yo, where you run up on me? Yo!
But as we know by now, a few bumps and bruises have never dissuaded Johnny Somali from his typical antics. If anything, they seem to embolden him, and his next stunt was about as on the nose as he had ever been. Johnny made his way to the Western Wall, or the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, which is considered a sacred place for Jews to visit.
This is extraordinarily offensive, what's about to happen here. So let me take a second. Blooming Day says, last month I went to Japan for the first time with my boyfriend and his sister. It isn't hard to be courteous. We spoke to citizens with a polite manner, and they felt very welcomed. Such a beautiful country. It is a gorgeous country. You should absolutely go to Japan. Support these countries in spite of the nuisance streamers. I think that's the best way to get back at them. Marcus X says, hey, Legal Mindset, what are your thoughts about the declining birth rates of South Korea and Japan? What do you think they should resolve this issue? That's a complicated issue, and it's for them to resolve. There's lots of factors there, and that's wholly outside the scope of this podcast.
And say prayers. A common practice when visiting the wall is placing small notes containing prayers within the cracks. However, instead of bringing notes, he brought images of what he described as his favorite Jews.
Aiden, this is you. Epstein, you'll always be one of us. We love you. You're our king Jew. You're one of us. It doesn't matter what you did. You're still Jewish. You're still one of us. Fire one is Harvey Weinstein. I love you so much.
So you put Aiden Ross, Harvey Weinstein, and Jeffrey Epstein in the holiest site of all of Judaism.
One of my favorite top Jews. I love you.
Of course, an act like this would not be met without consequence, and he was quickly apprehended by police on the scene. While he wasn't thrown in a jail cell, he didn't walk away unscathed, receiving a permanent ban from Kick. Now,
that's what got him right there. That's what got him right there.
He had nowhere left to turn but Rumble, as he was banned on every other social.
By the way, real quick, QB says, went to Japan for the third time last year. They helped me find my way at tourist sites when I didn't have a signal for Google Maps. They're very patient, despite my over-reliance on Google Translate and Cliff Notes. You can even go to the police and ask for directions, and they're very happy to help you. Japan is an amazing country, and people are super happy to help you.
Social media platform imaginable. But as the old saying goes, the most dangerous creation of any society is a man who has nothing to lose. Johnny wouldn't choose to tread carefully moving forward, as there was no incentive to do so. In fact, what came next was arguably the most outrageous thing he's done yet. On April 8th, a massive protest was taking place in Tel Aviv. Despite the sensitive nature of the situation, Johnny Somali began drawing a bunch of unnecessary attention to himself. So much so that one female Israeli police officer began to confront him. However, she had no interest in arresting him and eventually walked away. That's when Johnny said this.
Don't touch me. I'm from America. Don't touch me. I'm from America. Don't touch me. I'll slap that. I'll grab it too. Y'all know the Trump told me grab it by the. I'll grab that too. Stop playing with me. I'll grab it. I'll grab it by the right here, nigga. I don't give a. I don't give a. I'm a different type of journalist.
He continued to harass the woman.
Very lucky he did not suffer some very severe consequences for that. Shotgun Chris says, greeting from Sweden, Legal Mindset chat. Hey, greetings over there. Hope you're doing well in Sweden.
As well as other police officers at the scene, leading to...
And once again, he does have a pattern. Once again, there's a pattern around women and children. This is something that wasn't talked about in the Japanese side. But mind you, he went to Tokyo Disneyland and played sexual messages around children in Tokyo Disneyland. This is something that they do skim over in this, and he does leave out, which is very relevant. So this behavior, that behavior, there's a lot of sexual behavior that's inappropriate around women and children. And that's another pattern with Johnny Somali. Just to note that legally, because that is legally relevant.
Him being detained by a male officer.
I'm from America. I'm from America, USA.
I find it hilarious that Johnny repeats, "I'm an American," to the officer arresting him, as if that information would change his decision to put him in handcuffs. Even more hilarious is this image of Johnny being carried away like a child having a temper tantrum.
Which is a great image, which is a very fantastic image.
Unfortunately, however, they didn't officially arrest him or take him to jail. They simply removed him from the scene and allowed him to leave freely. However, the police did continue to investigate him, approaching him once the following day and again in the dead of night. It was during this encounter that Johnny claims he was beaten by the police, which is a blatant lie.
The police beat me. Huh? The police beat me tonight.
What? It's also worth noting that apparently Johnny had witnessed a shooting at the restaurant he was at the same night of the protest.
Bro, I'm eating dinner right now with Demir. Somebody just came in the restaurant, started shooting everybody, killing everybody, bro.
You would think something like this would inspire him to want to leave the country as quickly as possible, but for some reason, he didn't. In fact, he was directly violating his visa in Israel by staying after it had expired.
Correct. So it's what's called overstay a visa. That is definitely impermissible, and that can definitely end up getting you with some consequences and also banned from the country. So don't do it. Don't overstay. Bama for 5 says, morning, Andrew. Finally caught another stream. Here's a little extra for the Incarcerate RKI Fund. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
He was initially not permitted to leave on time due to a blockade on Israeli airspace. However, once it was lifted, he remained in the country. This is likely the reason why the police barged into his hotel room at 4 a.m. and removed him. Now on the streets, Johnny began ideating on his next potential destination, initially proposing the idea of going to China.
It's not Chinese New Year's, but I'm bringing the fireworks, man. It's gonna be crazy. I'm going to China and I'm about to crash out.
Although it seems he changed his mind about this, likely due to the fact that he would probably be arrested and disappeared in record time if he behaved this way in that country.
Yeah, China would not tolerate Johnny. In fact, you even see that with like Sam Pepper just going to the border and not even causing too much, just going to the border, but going somewhere he shouldn't have gone. They were on him immediately. Yeah, that will not work out well. Blooming Days for 10 says, the highlight of my trip was the third day in Shinjuku. My boyfriend and I found a man who was hungover and not feeling well. We had to give him something to hydrate to feel better. He was truly thankful. Oh, that's really nice. That's really awesome. Glad you had a good time.
So he opted to stay in Israel and to continue overstaying his visit on an expired visa. Of course, he made sure to provoke as many people as he could, like a drunk Russian man he found on the street.
Slava Rossi! Slava Rossi! Slava Rossi!
I'm warning him. I'm gonna kick him in his head. I'm gonna kick. Oh, ouch! Oh shit! Hey. Relax.
He was also confronted by the same guys that beat him up on his first night in the country.
Why you snitching, police? I don't snitch nobody. I don't snitch nobody. You snitch, motherfucker. Oh, peace and love. Back up.
And was choked out while begging for mercy. But eventually, Johnny's time in Israel had come to an end. He got an emergency passport at the U.S. Embassy and flew back.
This is the actual emergency passport, right? The actual one. But once again, that doesn't get around a travel ban. Let me pop this up real quick. I worked at Disney World Attractions 20 years ago. The Japanese guests are by far the most polite and well-mannered. I learned some Japanese words to greet them, and they were thrilled and happy. Awesome. That's always really nice to hear your native language.
Back home to America. From what I can tell, it seems like Johnny wasn't very active for some time. Maybe he needed to mentally decompress from the perpetual turmoil he had found himself in over the
No, he was just preparing his next move
past year. But eventually, whatever money he managed to save up from his streaming days began to run out, and he needed to find a new lucrative way to make money. Rent was due, and he felt there was no better place to farm clips next than in South Korea. On September 27th, 2024, Johnny Somali touched down in the country, but this time was supposed to be different. He had previously...
We got to count the days he's been there, right? So it's like, let's back that up real quick. Hold on.
Or Johnny Somali touched down in the next than in South Korea. On September 27th,
September 27th. Okay. September 27th. So chat. How long will Johnny be in Korea? So we're already almost at 1 year. So we'll just put 1 year. Let's put 2 years. Put 3 years, or let's put 5+. Actually, no, 4+. Do it that way. What do you think, Chad? We're already at 1 year. So, if he goes home sometime the next 6 months, we'll call that 1 year. What do you guys think? How long is he going to be here? Marcus says, you get a chance to look at the Daniel Larson case? I did not. I would love to check it out when I have time, but I'm sorry, Marcus. I have a million recommendations for what to cover, and it's very difficult to get to all the topics. BMS says, hate to bring it up, but doesn't China have mobile? Whoa, I don't know anything about that. But anyways, wouldn't be good if you went there, and that's true. Garrett Griffin says, for 10, arg, late, dang it. So what I get for having meetings at work. Speaking of work, yours is good. Keep it up. I've been trying, but keep an eye on you since Turdep a couple of years back. Awesome. Well, glad you're here. It's been a wild ride since I covered Depp versus Amber Heard, but we're going to stay on covering cool cases and things like nuisance streaming. So yeah, glad you're here.
2024, Johnny Somali touched down in the country, but this time was supposed to be different. He had previously begged Kick CEO Eddie Craven for forgiveness, promising that he learned the error of his ways.
Eddie, I learned my lesson from the Japan situation. I'm really sorry for anything that I've done to bring negative attention to Kick. I know I go viral a lot. It's not always for the best things, but Eddie, I promise you, I'm trying to reform. I'm trying to change.
While this request for a second chance seemed to have fallen.
By the way, this is Slightly Homeless, who once again was the guy who was kind of blocking for him, simping for him, etc. Even when his own girlfriend and him were being harassed by Johnny, he was still protecting Johnny. So just to call out who that is right now.
On deaf ears, it does appear Johnny was making a real effort to get his act together. He was calling himself a reformed streamer, privated his old videos on his YouTube channel, and was even filtering out text-to-speech donations to avoid inappropriate outbursts.
So all this does, so what does this show you? He knows how to stream properly and not get in trouble. He knows that. He chooses not to do it. He makes a conscious attempt not to do it. Elpire Ava gifted 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Emotional cabbage.
And guys, if you can't give a super chat or send a membership, make sure to like the stream. We're at 4,400 people in here, and we only have 1,400 likes. Let's get those likes up. Thanks, guys.
However, the allure of farming clips was too much for him to resist, and on his first day there, he already began harassing anyone he could. His first notable transgression came when he jumped on stage in the middle of a music performance.
Whoa! Whoa! Very nice! Whoa! Amazing! Whoa! Whoa! Jumped on the stage. Down, down? Oh, got on TV.
So that could have been an obstruction of business right there, right? Because he's obstructing the performance. So that could have also been a charge right there. That's another one. I didn't even see that one for a while. So there we go. We're finding more new charges for Korea. We're already in the Korean era, guys. So welcome to Korea. Eric H gifted 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Whoa, boy. Thank you so much.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
Les Gruplis Valenzuela says, it angers me that people like RKI would commit deplorable actions and hide behind their immutable differences, race, ethnicity, skin color to get away. It's good they're getting punished. Yes, and it's good that people are calling that out and that people like Johnny and Vitaly cannot get out for free because they pull some sort of card.
Despite this blatant disrespect, Johnny was still committing to the bit of recently reformed streamer. A short time after trespassing, he sat next to a statue of a woman and made an official.
This one is the one. This is not the main one. There's several statues. So just understand there's about like 30 of these statues in Seoul. But this is, of course, the Comfort Woman statue, the one that is representing underaged girls that were taken as sex workers by the occupying Japanese. Crazy. Fitty Tucker says that quoting Rick James clouts a hell of a drug. Allison Brown says 253 days to date plus 180 more trial equal plus 5 years. There you go. 72% of you think Johnny Somali will be in Korea more than 4 years. So by and large, people think he's going to be there for a very, very long time.
Statement on his behavior in Japan.
I stand with the Korean people. I love Korea. And everything that I did in Japan was for the Korean and the Chinese people.
This entire diatribe is already passive-aggressive enough, but the nature of his behavior in this video is much more sinister than you might think at first glance. You see, the statue that he sits next to and eventually kisses on the cheek is called...
This one here is actually at the Mapo Library. I actually put flowers in front of this one. So this one is one I've been to personally, and this is one I put flowers in front of. It's one of the 3 that I put flowers in front of.
The Comfort Woman statue. It pays tribute to the over 200,000 women and girls who were trafficked into Japanese military brothels during
This is one in California, because there's also some around the world. It's also some around the world. Alex Moffat gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much, Alex. Elated Apple says nothing ever happens. Just wait. Just wait.
Second World War. It serves as not only a reminder of what took place, but also as a protest to the Japanese government and their refusal to take accountability for the tragedy. It goes without saying that treating a monument of this nature as a prop for a passive-aggressive apology would not be received well by basically anyone. Even though Johnny was making a promise to respect the Korean people during his visit, he seemed to have no problem belittling their criticisms of him in the wake of the clip going viral.
I saw that the Koreans were getting mad about that Comfort Woman statue. So I'm like, we might as well make this matter. I think the main Comfort Woman statue is in front of the Japanese embassy. So that is where I'm going right now.
He's right. That's the one that is the most, it's considered the main one. Yeah. So he went to the main one to be the most offensive possible.
Even knowing full well what the statue represented, he had no issue continuing to defile the sacred monument. Johnny then
again showing he knew what it was and he did it repeatedly.
made his way to the Japanese embassy, making sure to harass as many people as he could before arriving.
Sir, is this legal what you're doing? Is this legal? Is this legal what you're doing? Are you on a tourist visa?
No, I'm not.
What visa are you on? Are you on a tourist visa? I'm checking. You cannot make money in tourist visa.
Once he arrived at the embassy, Johnny...
Which actually, you know what's funny? Even he knows that you can't make money on a tourist visa, but he was there streaming on a tourist visa. So he knew, and he's breaking the law anyways. He knows he can't be earning money, and he was earning money. It's very telling. He just keeps telling on himself that he knows what he's doing, and this is just great proof for the court. Hailstorm says, I see red when I see that clip. It's really bad. Pirate Skeleton for 499 says, demonstrating that you know how to stream respectfully is like acing your work sexual harassment training. Now I have no excuse. Elpire Ava for 5 says, fun fact, I visited and left flowers at the Comfort Woman statue in San Fran. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, Ava. Really appreciate that. Awesome.
He figured he might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone and try to get unbanned from Japan. But unfortunately, the embassy was closed for a holiday.
He can't get unbanned from Japan. There is a de facto 5-year ban after you're convicted, after you have a punishment crime in Japan. So despite the fact he only had a fine, it still counts as a crime. He is banned for 5 years blanket. He cannot come back till 2029. So that there's no way for him to get that quote unquote lifted. Bama says the irony. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny.
It seems that Johnny's intentions to visit the statue located at the embassy had faded from his mind, as he became preoccupied with dancing in the street in a traditional Korean dress, and of course, being confronted by angry strangers.
Let's not bother her.
Who the f I bother? Are you a talk?
Bother her?
Don't you? I can call the police on you. You put a hand on me. I have it on video. Don't touch me.
What's your name?
My last warning. My last warning.
He continued to wander the streets for the next few days, eventually stumbling upon a young woman standing alone on the sidewalk, just waiting to be harassed.
What are you scared for? Relax, yo.
See, once again, he's only brave when he harasses women and children. This is the type of person he is. He backs down and with guys, he runs away. He tries to be cool. He's a big tough guy when it's women and children. Bell gifted 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Emotional damage.
Thank you, Bell.
Why are you with the phone up like this? Why are you scared like this? Whoa!
He decided to follow the woman into the store and continue to harass her until a man stepped in to intervene. Johnny was becoming more reckless, unruly, and belligerent by the day.
Once again, possible obstruction there. There's some possible harassment.
Seemingly begging to be arrested, confronted, or attacked, in the hopes of capturing his next viral moment. In this clip, an extremely intoxicated Johnny Somali begins spilling food and alcohol all over the floor.
This clip is the first obstruction charge. So we've gotten to the point at which this is the first criminal side of this. So this is obstruction number 1. And remember, people were really mad that this was the only thing they brought at first, but Korea knew. Korea had a plan. Korea was strategy. They would start with the easy one, the one that's a layup that Johnny would plead guilty to because he thinks it's no big deal. And then they tacked on 6 more charges. This was just number 1 of 7. And we're not done yet, baby. We're not done yet.
While blasting loud text-to-speech donations with no regard for anyone else around him. Unsurprisingly, one of the employees confronted him.
And this is the part. This is the part where it's case closed obstruction. She's telling him what to do, and he's cursing at her and not doing what she tells him to do.
Eventually called the police. Luckily for Johnny, it seems he managed to flee the scene before the cops arrived. But something was missing from his content. There was a palpable lack of public transport harassment, which he quickly made sure to correct. Johnny, on a public bus, began blasting loud music and insulting fellow passengers, sparking a massive...
Which is another violation of the... This is another obstruction of justice here. So this is another... sorry, not obstruction of justice. Sorry, obstruction of business. So messing with a public bus, disrupting the normal operations of a bus is obstruction of business. This is another one.
Of confrontation. Of course, despite numerous people...
When the driver has to get up, you've stopped the bus from going. He is charged with this. This is a crime. So what you're watching, this little thing right here, this was a crime. Let me pull it back here.
assaulting fellow passengers, sparking a massive confrontation. Of course, despite numerous people surrounding him and asking him to stop, he continued to play loud music and act like a nuisance. Obviously fed up with his behavior, one of the passengers called the cops, and Johnny quickly made his escape before he could be caught. Unfortunately for him, the police were able to track him down.
They're going to be able to find out where he is. It's Korea. There's CCTV everywhere. They know who he is.
And he was then placed in handcuffs and arrested. But Johnny wouldn't spend long at the police station, being allowed to leave about 4 hours after being arrested.
And this is where he kind of gets cocky. He thinks because he isn't put behind bars immediately, there's no consequences, but that's not true. That's not true. They're cooking it up. Rat Dilly says Ramsey has 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place. Oof. Oof.
Johnny was officially spooked, and he was desperate to not find himself in a similar situation as he did in Japan.
But the problem is the subway police know me. Now the upground police know me. Let's just leave all these. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm gonna get a ticket to Thailand probably tomorrow, if not the next 2 days.
Despite claiming that he intended to flee to Thailand, he did no such thing. Instead, he decided it was better to continue provoking the Korean people, specifically returning to the Comfort Woman statue outside of the Japanese embassy and making abhorrent gestures to it.
I brought the baby oil to this. I brought the baby oil. I was gonna. I was about to P. Diddy her. But they said it's locked up, bro. They got this locked up in security, bro.
Now incapable of accessing the statue or the Japanese embassy, Johnny decided to find a different Comfort Woman statue and make a complete fool of himself. He begins groping and kissing it, removing his clothes, and begins rubbing himself with baby oil, all while blasting loud music and grinding on it. He is unsurprisingly confronted about this, with one woman very gently explaining to him the statue's significance, which he pretends to be ignorant of. As bad as this situation...
He knew the entire time. Also, thank you, Bama, for the 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Very based. Also, Piebaker says RKI telling people not to stream on tourist visas is like a lawyer getting busted for drugs and trying to convince the court anti-drug streams should count for community service.
It was about to get a whole lot worse, as Johnny's partner in crime, Gino, was making his way to Korea. Gino made sure to make his mark on Korea felt almost immediately, with him provoking a woman into physically assaulting him, and his presence only encouraged Johnny to continue to act out.
Hiroshima Nagasaki was a good thing.
Johnny's carelessness was at an all-time high, as he decided to once again blast loud text-to-speech donations through a speaker on a public bus, despite being arrested only days earlier for the exact same thing, and much like the last time, he was
again showing a pattern of behavior and showing if he is not punished harshly, he will continue what he's doing, and it encourages others to do what they're doing because he's doing the same things again even after he's arrested. So this shows them they've really got to punish this guy severely, or else other people are going to follow these sort of sprees.
Confronted by the cops.
I'm chill, calm down.
Johnny was able to avoid legal repercussions, but they wouldn't last for long. For the rest of October, Johnny found himself doing what made him famous, getting yelled at by strangers, confronted by police, and occasionally punched. It seems like every stream involved the police questioning Johnny after causing a scene or being a nuisance. This had become such a frequent occurrence that he was now on the cops' radar, and they were directly investigating a plethora of crimes he committed.
We saw that your video.
I don't do no crime. No crime.
You ever been visit the Itaewon, right?
No crime. I don't do no crime.
And then you touch the...
I don't do no crime.
As if it couldn't get any worse for him, after the police left, a random passerby sucker punched him when he wasn't looking.
Go to Johnny's stream. We're gonna have a good time. Whoa!
There's one of the punches. There's one of the punches. Kwang Lee for 5 says, I really wish Korea would change the law to allow them to stack prison time. It seems unfair and unjustified. That's just how their system is. Once again, if he gets 12.5 years, 12 and a half years, I think that's a long time. And mind you, more charges can come, so the time can go up. What a fook this is, says for 5 Canadian. Damn, never noticed until now, but RK's hairline is racing him on who's leaving the country first. More flat top space in a super carrier.
Johnny, despite having a clear disregard for the law himself, was deeply offended by this attack and decided to go file a police report. But the attacks wouldn't stop there. In fact, they would only escalate. A few days later, he would get jumped and chased down the street.
Whoa, 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 때렸다. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 레전드. Whoa, whoa.
The following day, another Korean live streamer attempted...
This is Youngman. So this is the one he calls the whale. This is the one who he created the deep fake of. So this is Youngman. He's the one, there's a deep fake of him kissing Hank. And this is the one who I interviewed. I haven't aired the interview. I may air it. We may watch it together. Maybe. He calls him the whale. He calls him the beluga. He calls him the fat one or whatever. But he made a deep fake of him. And Jungmann said to me, and I played the clip, that he is not dropping the deep fake charge. So there's no way that he's going to let him go on that. Warren A says, no doubt South Korean prosecutors are salivating over the info in the documentary. Yeah, this is great. It's great to put together. Shout out to Turkey Tom on this one. This one's really a good one. It's not glazing Johnny like his fanboys. Hailstorm for 199 says, would Hank have taken in Gino too? I don't know. It's possible. Maybe they would have had a little, snuggle party.
To stream snipe Johnny in the hopes of attacking him.
Johnny 어딨어?
A few days after this, Johnny was confronted by yet another Korean YouTuber.
That's Yu Dalgoon, the UDT member, essentially a Korean SEAL. I interviewed him, really base dude, knocked him out pretty much.
Nearly knocked him unconscious.
어디가? What you mean? What is 어디가? Oh!
It appears that both men were arrested and taken into custody, but released a short while later. You may be wondering what exactly is going on. Previous physical attacks against Johnny seem to happen in a spur of the moment, but these encounters seem much more...
All right. Bama says Johnny doesn't have a forehead. It's a 747 landing strip. Oof!
premeditated. Well, that's likely because a bounty was placed on Johnny's head. Specifically, a 1 million won bounty was placed for anyone able to knock
1 million won is like $700, guys. So just so you know.
Johnny Somali out cold, and tons of YouTubers were trying to claim the prize. As if staying in a country full of people who want to kill you isn't bad enough, things got even worse for Johnny when an arrest warrant was placed for both him and his bodyguard's arrest. The charges included obstruction of business and violations of the minor.
This is actually not correct. So this is where Turkey Tom makes a mistake. Hank has not had anything issued against him. So that's a mistake that he makes. So I don't know where he got that information from, probably from like a bad source, but this is actually incorrect. Hank, nothing has hit Hank so far. So just FYI.
Crimes Act. However, Johnny had also committed a crime that doesn't even exist in America. For whatever reason, Johnny decided to create AI-generated videos of him making out with a female Korean streamer.
So this is the Bong Bong deepfake. This one is really, really bad. And this is really going to hurt him, is this deepfake with Bong Bong, because they are not joking about this, and because he said, "This is my girlfriend," and represented being in a relationship with her after showing a sexual act multiple times and multiple defects. Blooming Day says one prison time is on him. Got to celebrate with Korean barbecue and soju, but first, going to keep up with all the updates. Thank you. Bama says, enjoying the stream, gets knocked out. Let's play one.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
South Korean law states that the creation, distribution, or possession of non-consensual AI-generated explicit content is classified as a sexual crime. Legal experts have confirmed that this offense carries a mandatory prison sentence of up to 7 years. This means that Johnny was also facing charges of sexual harassment. Seemingly with no hope of escaping, it seems that Johnny and his bodyguard turned themselves in. A few days later, on the 8th of November...
By the way, bodyguard, calling Hank a bodyguard is being very generous. Hank couldn't bodyguard a fly. Hank's bodyguard is calling the police. Hank would lose to an old grandmother. Hank is not in good shape. He's a coward. He runs away from any man. He's really not afraid. He really only tries to intimidate women and children, just like Johnny. Hank is an absolute coward. He will not fight anybody.
Johnny made a public statement on Korean television.
So to all the people of South Korea, I just want to apologize for what I've done, and I really did not mean to hurt your guys' pride this much. You guys are good people. You guys are great people.
Despite
remember, look at in that apology. Look at this. Look at this. Let me play it one more time.
Trying.
I really did not mean to hurt your guys' pride this much.
He's not apologizing. He's saying, I hurt your pride. He's saying you're too proudful. You have too much pride, right? Like you guys are sensitive. That's what he's trying to say. It's not an apology. It was a non-apology. Tormir says, if there was a content for losers, RKI would come in second because he's a loser. The secondhand embarrassment is unbearable. Hope he doesn't reproduce. That's the vasectomy's for. Pirate Skeleton says for $4.99, Korean police really handed him the metaphorical rope and his behavior, knowing full well he wasn't going to behave. Conspiracy says 1 million won. If I had $700, I could actually get 1 million bills or coins or whatever one single won is. I mean, you could.
You guys are good people. You guys are great people.
Despite trying to appear deeply apologetic, he hardly meant a word he said in this press conference. Johnny was eventually indicted, specifically for the clip of him at the convenience store, where he carelessly spilled food and drink while severely intoxicated. This meant that he was banned from leaving the country while he awaited a verdict.
And the ban was actually for multiple criteria. It wasn't just for the ramen. It was for multiple things he was under investigation for.
Bright side, at least for him, he was permitted to leave police custody while the process continued. While he tried to convince the South Korean people that he was done with his days of trolling and harassment, he quickly changed his mind the second he got a fresh taste of freedom.
These motherfuckers are saying I'm getting 29 years. Y'all not gonna catch me alive. Dennis Rodman? I'm the next Dennis Rodman. Oh.
By the way, this is fully within South Korea. This is actually the wall, the old wall that is by Bukhansan. So this is not North Korea, South Korea, guys.
Seemingly with nothing else to lose, Johnny became more reckless than ever, persistently posting to his Instagram and TikTok accounts, egging on local prosecutors, his detractors, and the Korean people. This was really the only content we would get from Johnny for the next few months, and he would be almost completely radio silent in January and February.
Which is not necessarily true. We know this because he was making a lot of comments in his Discord. He was doing a lot of things. So we had a lot of stuff to cover because he was talking during those months, and he was shit talking us. He was shit talking other people. He was causing a lot of issues. So while I know Turkey Tom thinks, maybe there wasn't any viral things happening, a lot was happening in those months. And we have a lot that was going on behind the scenes in those months, which is becoming legally relevant. Bama says backhanded ass apology. Yep. Loppian says wish more countries took deepfakes that seriously. Well, they're starting to. I mean, even America has a new law. So there you go.
February of 2025. The only notable moment during this time period would come on the 17th of February, where Johnny would post a new video wearing a suit, a blonde wig, and a Make America Great Again cap.
I am part of the criminal nuisance live streamer gang called CX. We are ran by our top leader, Ice Poseidon.
This was, of course, to try to get Ice Poseidon in trouble, try to get Miskiv in trouble, and try to clout Jack in. Once again, Johnny cannot stay silent for multiple months. This is why I am confident, ladies and gentlemen, that Johnny Somali will do something before August. He physically cannot help himself. He cannot help himself. He will do something before then. He just has no self-control. He's addicted to the clout.
Leader of CX and Miskiv, the leader of OTK. We are part of a live streaming international criminal mafia.
Johnny comedically shifts all of the blame to Ice Poseidon, claiming that he is the leader of their group and the main reason he even went to Japan in the first place. He also ends the video with him ripping up a printed out picture of the rising sun. However, Johnny would officially make his return to streaming on the 7th of March, with the intention of streaming his trial.
And I will be live streaming the trial.
He did not do that. The only person who had live updates was yours truly, and that wasn't from the courtroom. Was after the courtroom, so he did not do that at all. Right at all. The Peace Boy, as a new member, welcome. Seed Fan 85 says, could Korea hand down a chemical castration sentence for the sex crime? Because at this point it seems worth it. I wish they could. I wish they could, but no, that isn't actually a thing.
I will be live streaming before, during, and after. It's time for a redemption arc, a Johnny Somali redemption arc. I'm going to try to become a better man.
However, it seems that he showed up late and drunk, and it was postponed. This story is corroborated by the...
It was not postponed. So this is another little thing to be correct. The trial happened an hour later. So he was an hour late. It wasn't postponed to another day. It was just delayed a little bit. And yeah, Atozy was there. So was I.
The commentary YouTuber Atozy, who was actually in person for his trial.
And of course he walked in with a MAGA hat on. Immediately he got in trouble for wearing the hat. He took off the hat and then he put it back on again and got in trouble for it again. On top of that, he was also carrying a massive water bottle. That's not allowed in court either. He got in trouble for that. And the reason he had that water bottle was presumably because he decided to go live last night at 3 in the morning and he drank a bunch on his stream, so he was too drunk to make it to court on time. So that water bottle was most likely to sober himself up because he showed up to court more than an hour late. Then, he had a massive smile on his face until the judge started reading all of his charges. So the people who witnessed this They're believing that he's looking at about 3 to 5 years in prison at least for all of this.
That was my opinion at the time, and I still will stand by that. At least 3 to 5.
Mentally destroyed as Johnny had to have been in the beginning of this story, his mental state was plummeting to unthinkable lows. A few weeks after his trial was postponed, he was seen streaming, almost completely naked and drunk, screaming in the street.
We covered this one, and he was definitely there were definitely reports on him for this behavior as well. He was harassing several people. He went into a church and he was disrupting a church. He was really despicable during the stream. Absolutely. QB says it'll be funny if RKI piles enough charges that he's farming cabbages for life. Oh, that'd be great. David Miller says, thanks to whoever gifted me a membership. Have a bad tooth infection, but watching RKI take L's feels oh so good. It really does.
He then began walking through the city, still drunk and in his underwear,
looking like an ugly worm from MIB, and that's insulting to the worm from MIB.
He was stopped by a cop, arrested, and taken to the station. But he didn't seem to care in the slightest, with him sharing this epic selfie of him flexing to his Discord server. Ultimately, since he was in the middle of a pending trial, the police just let him leave.
It's not, and that's another inaccuracy from Turkey Tom. It's not because he's in a pending trial. It's because the default setting is to let people go. They do not take people in unless it's a violent crime or something that's a very severe crime like drugs or something, like drug trafficking, right? You're not going to get thrown into jail unless it's a violent crime. So that's just their strategy.
Found himself in an...
And by the way, that strategy has worked.
Unbreakable cycle, stuck in South Korea with no chance to leave, and his entire future potentially ruined. He simply did not care anymore. He initially had something to lose, and thus operated with some level of caution. But now, there were no more rules left to play by. Shortly after leaving the police station, a still intoxicated Johnny begins live streaming himself in a store with loud text-to-speech donations blaring through his speakers. One of the donations plays a silly German song, and Johnny decides to send his heart out to the audience, so to speak, and throw out a Roman salute. Only a few days later, Johnny was back at it. While shopping at a grocery store, obviously blackout drunk, he stripped down to his underwear once again and began screaming and twerking.
He could catch for this one another obstruction charge. So this is one we still haven't seen. So we could get another obstruction for this, right? This is one that we don't have yet. So once again, we have more we can have. This is the beautiful part. There's more that can come. Speaking of more that can come, year 283 with 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Emotional cabbage.
Thank you for that. Let's go.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
It also appears that in the process of shaking his butt on camera, he's promoting something called Somali coin. It's honestly hard to tell. I'm not even sure if he's speaking English at this point.
Get that Somali coins in that phone, shiny lie.
Clearly, Johnny has intellectually ascended to such a high level that my tiny pea brain cannot fathom anything he's saying. Fortunately, Johnny managed to sober up the next day and was able to experience getting punched in the face while completely
By the way, crypto also not permitted to promote crypto, which ultimately this thing went away and didn't go anywhere, right? But this is also a crime.
W stream, are you guys enjoying the stream today? Whoa!
Oh, hold on. We gotta play the better version.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
I did it better, Turkey Tom. We did it better. Legal Mindset team did it better.
I guess this interaction reminded him just how persecuted he was, and so he began protesting the South Korean president and his mistreatment.
They're trying to put me in court. They're trying to impeach the president. They're trying to put me in jail. They're trying to put President Yoon in jail.
As hopeless as it seems for this guy at this point, things were actually...
By the way, political protesting also illegal. Foreigners cannot engage in political protests in Korea. He's done this multiple times, and it's impermissible and it's illegal.
Looking up, a lifeline was on the horizon in the form of Ice Poseidon. Since Ice was one of the most popular Kick streamers with direct ties to the CEO, he felt as though maybe he could do him a solid. So he decided to stream snipe Ice.
And to be fair, and let's be very clear, running up to this, Ice was really laying out cover for Johnny Somali. While he would say he hates Johnny, he would attack everybody who attacks Johnny. So essentially saying, hey, look, I'm going to attack everybody that's attacking you, Johnny. I'm going to cover for you. I'm going to block for you. And despite saying he hates him and he's banned, they agreed. They essentially had a consensual meetup because the two of them came there and talked for a long time. They didn't walk away or anything else. So as far as I'm concerned, he signed off on Johnny Somali by meeting up with him.
Ice the second he got off his plane.
You guys do the same stuff as me. What's up?
Ago and I was fine. You came to Japan, did your thing.
So I'm the catalyst of it.
Anymore.
But listen,
your fault.
You've done the same stuff as me, a lot of it.
If you didn't catch that,
and Ice Poseidon actually is also, I mean, both of them are banned from a country. Johnny's banned from Japan. Ice Poseidon banned from Thailand. So they are, in Johnny's defense, they are similar in that way.
Ice notes that streaming in Japan was never an issue a few years ago, but his most recent trip was nearly impossible. Johnny Somali has had a particular impact that has really been demonstrated in this video, that being the hyper-awareness Japanese citizens have had towards live streamers. Ice found himself constantly dealing with police and random citizens while he wasn't even breaking any laws.
He was actually breaking laws. So this is where Turkey Tom is wrong, completely wrong. They were absolutely breaking laws. They were breaking laws repeatedly. They were illegally streaming online gambling. They were smoking where they shouldn't have been smoking. They were filming where they shouldn't have been filming. They were filming people they shouldn't have been filming. They were, engaged in different forms of harassment, etc. So there are a bunch of things they were breaking the law there. Not to mention they're earning revenue without relevant work visas. So a lot of things they were breaking in Japan. So that I disagree strongly with Turkey Tom there. Now I know Turkey Tom is probably playing it safe, but I strongly disagree with that interpretation. And folks in Japan also disagree with that interpretation.
And unfortunately, even though you have already bought this ferry ticket, you cannot get on this ferry today.
So I'm sure you can understand why he had no desire to help Johnny after making his job exponentially harder and very deeply tainting the reputation of normal people harmlessly live streaming their lives.
But I honestly don't think I'm a bad person. I want to stream on Kick again. I literally do. I want to change. I love streaming. I do. I'm serious. I do.
If that was true, then why do you say really?
Because I'm just trying to get content. I'm taking it too far. I take the content too far. The trolling too far. I do. I admit it. I admit it.
Yeah, so he's admitting it, but he's trying to plead not guilty on certain charges. I mean, it's really crazy. Gary Lee says Ramsey can't do the Travis King escape North Korea. No, that will not work out well for him. Andy Bradley for 10 pounds says, with all these potential charges, I hope Korea is queuing them up to extend his trial as long as possible. Let him stew until he's begging for cabbage farms. Oh, you have no idea. And we at the Somali Conviction Team are helping make that happen. If you wanted to help that, go to the pinned comment, donate to the Somali Conviction Team, help us put him away for even longer at Ko-Fi/Andrew Esquire. Thank you guys. Smash a like too.
I admit it, but I admit when I'm wrong though.
How do you expect to get unbanned on a platform if you take it too far?
But you have to learn from your mistakes. I'm a man to know when I'm wrong.
Johnny is giving the same song and dance as he did with South Korean TV and in his initial plea to Kick. It would be extremely unwise to take his word on this promise, especially considering that there is no appeal to his content outside of the outrageous moments. It's not like Johnny has built his career off of high-quality videos or his likable personality. People only watch him in the same way they might watch a dumpster fire or a car crash. What's more is that Johnny hasn't just created a stigma, he has created an entirely new blueprint for other clout-hungry streamers to build their own careers from. I
absolutely agree with this, by the way, 100%.
These individuals, named Black Ass Dave, has a propensity for harassing local citizens in Japan and South Korea.
Oh, burger. Yo, don't.
And he tried to bet, Black Ass Dave tried to say, oh, that wasn't what it looked like. It wasn't what it looked like. Look, regardless, it doesn't look good. And whatever the hell that was going on there, it wasn't good. And the content that I was watching did not look great or respectful for Korea. Definitely looked not good.
Touch me, bro. You don't touch me. Bro, if that's a girl, I want her. Is that a girl? Hello? Are you a girl? Oh, nah, I want you. What's up, baby? You got a fat old ass.
Another streamer by the name of Sigma Boy frequently films himself running through the streets of Shibuya or in subways, blasting loud music on his speaker and being...
I covered this on my channel. There was also a guy doing the same shit in Thailand. I think it's super disrespectful, and I think it's not something that people should be doing.
Generally belligerent. Johnny has done so much more than just harass a few innocent people. He's done much more than strike fear and anxiety into the hearts of Japanese and South Korean citizens that he encounters. He has created a stigma that affects his fellow streamers and an effective business model to farm content. But Ice Poseidon didn't buy his shtick, and Johnny was once again left with nothing but a live stream chat full of people that wanted to watch him burn. Looking for whatever good favor he could, Johnny decided to visit another comfort woman statue, where he once again offered his apologies. I'm sure it's not surprising that the apology was just as half-hearted as all the others. If he really felt sorry, he wouldn't allow the issue to linger as much as he does. In reality, he knows that any interaction with a Comfort Woman statue will bring him some form of engagement on his channel. When his apology tour didn't really work out, he decided he may as well go back to doing what he does best, that being having public meltdowns and harassing as many people as possible. It really didn't matter to him at this point. His life was basically over, so what's the harm in committing the same crime a few more times? He's really not even trying anymore, and it's hard to say that what he's doing is worthy of being called content. When he was initially disrupting—
As he would say, it's non-tent. Bronwyn says, meetings may be late, but I'm kicking this back from the start. Happy Friday, y'all. Happy Friday, Bronwyn. Appreciate you. Luminous Artist for 5 says, would the creator of One Piece have any grounds to sue RKI for his use to promote his crap coin? I mean, they could, but he's not worth it. He's probably got no assets worthwhile going after.
Strangers on the subway or blasting TTS donations, at least there was something to keep your attention. But now, it seems he has no desire to be even remotely interesting and just wants to streamline the process of confrontation as quickly as possible. You may be wondering why the police don't just keep him in a cell until his trial is complete, and to be honest, I can't tell you why. The leading theory is that their potential—
There's no theory. There's no theory. This is a fact. I've explained this multiple times. And Turkey Tom, once again, I think he relied on a lot of clips from other people and didn't watch my content closely. But this is what Korea does. They do not jail people before trial unless they are violent or it's an extreme crime. These are not. So it doesn't fit the category of crimes you would put them away for. Now they could, and the judge could change their mind. And if he does more, they might do that. It's always possible that could happen. We will see. But at this point, he's not there yet. And by the way, the strategies worked and allowed him to hang himself.
Essentially just allowing him to continue to rack up charges to contribute to their mountain of evidence, which would ensure his conviction. If Johnny just laid low after his arrest and stayed out of trouble, he would probably have a much better chance of getting off scot-free. But Johnny seems to not care about this at all, even going as far as to directly provoke the police by knowingly engaging in illegal activity. Recently, while on a live stream, Johnny showed a brand new deepfake video he created,
which just goes into the deepfake stack. Once again, another Bong Bong deepfake, which goes in the file and showing he's continuing to make deepfakes. This really screws him. This newer Bong Bong really screws him over.
Don't ever show that.
This seemed to be Johnny's gravest mistake yet. His belligerent threats and provocative statements paled in comparison to directly fanning the flames of an ongoing trial, and it netted him a secondary sex offense charge. That means his 2 obstruction of business charges, which come
actually 3. It's 3.
A 5-year sentence each, as well as 2 sex offense charges, totaling a combined 21 years in prison, meaning that Johnny is currently facing—
So that was the old estimate, and that was before we figured out the sentencing guidelines. It's now 12.5 now that we figured out how to do it correctly. So this was me scoozy, and it's my fault because at first I didn't know those guidelines either, and we thought it was 31. It's now 12.5. So just understand that's the updated number. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Amanda Main for 5 says, only bad that with the world ban is him being stuck in the U.S. We don't want him. Can we find a nice place of nothing for RKI? That would be fun. An RKI island. Rhett Dilly says, what does RKI think screaming is funny? No, he just thinks it's weird and it's going to get attention. Yuri says RKI have the equivalent of a life sentence. That would be funny, but no, they don't do life sentence for the crimes he's charged with.
Over 30 years behind bars. Of course, as things only get worse and worse, Johnny has less incentive to parse his words or bite his tongue in the hopes of sparing himself further consequences. For example, Johnny has publicly threatened that if he were to hypothetically be infected with HIV or AIDS, he would become a super spreader, meaning that he would be, in essence, a biological terrorist and attempt to infect as many unsuspecting victims with the disease as possible.
Including me. He threatened to stab me with an HIV needle.
If I ever caught HIV, I would become a super spreader. I'll say it right now. I don't care.
Things like this not only add more potential charges to his eventual sentencing, but they only embolden the courts to believe that he's incapable of change and undeserving of forgiveness. It also doesn't help that he actively chose to threaten the judge presiding over the case and their family while on his live stream.
The judge, the prosecutor, y'all can suck my ass. Yeah. Suck my soft.
Causing anxiety by carrying a fish. Tell the judge you can suck my dick. I'll bring a fish
The judge is going to hear that. Mind you, the judge is getting all of this. The judge 100% is getting this evidence, is getting this video. Have fun, Johnny.
To your mother's house. I don't care.
His most recent appearance in court took place in May of 2025, where Johnny pled guilty to all of his charges.
Thank you. This is, of course, courtesy of Legal Mindset. It's my graph, baby. He didn't plead guilty to everything. That's wrong. He pled guilty to only some. This is actually the not even the right one. They're using the wrong table. He pled guilty to 2 of the obstruction, 2 minor crimes act. We still got 1 obstruction and both of the deepfakes that are not guilty.
Except the charges relating to the deepfaked videos. This is likely because the bulk of his potential...
Who it is? Who's that sexy, sexy man in that sexy blue suit? Looking so good, looking so suave. That's right. It's your boy, the...
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Low, man. That's right. It's your boy, Legal Mindset.
Sentencing comes from those crimes, and if they go away, he could potentially shave 21 years off his sentence. But somehow, even with 1 foot basically in a jail cell at this point, Johnny Somali still can't help himself. Take, for example, the female streamer that he made the AI videos of. He's actively tried to intimidate her into silence by implying that some kind of legal repercussion may be in her future if she continues to push the issue in court.
Guess who's getting charged too? Like, I can drop really knowledge on you, bro. That stupid Bong Bong, she showed that image as well on her stream, right? So guess who went to the police station? I put charges on Bong Bong. Bong Bong getting charged too. Like, I'm not playing.
Obviously, it's ridiculous to think that she could be held legally accountable, considering that she didn't create the deepfaked images, and the only reason she had them in her possession was because Johnny publicly distributed them. For now, Johnny's story ends with a question mark, as the internet waits with bated breath to see when he'll be thrown in jail and for how long. Even if he were to plead guilty to all of his charges, there's no guarantee that he would be given the max sentence. There's no guarantee, but also it's not going to happen anytime soon. Very real possibility that he'll not only be a free man sooner than we think, but also that his reign of terror is far from over.
That's not true. So he's not going to be free anytime soon, even if, and I'll stop it here because that's kind of the end here. But even if this was the pleading guilty and he pled guilty to everything, he would still have at least 6 months, likely 4 to 6 months of trial left for him. So he's not going to get out of there likely before 2026, even if he was let off easy, right? Even if it's a slap on the wrist. So that was Turkey Tom. Once again, a well-produced, I think he did a good job of producing it. The production effects are good and some of the general background is good. Where he slips up is getting the details of the Korean legal process and some of the charges and some of the later stuff wrong. So a little bit sloppy at the end, but other than that, the general production and backstory, good job. So a good one. If you want to go over there to his channel and like the video, leave a comment, tell him you saw from Legal Mindset, feel free. But definitely that's why we go into the fine details, because they matter and because they're relevant. So cool stuff. Really good A+ production value there. Really good music and background and everything, and good censoring to make sure it's okay for YouTube. One of the reasons why we get in trouble is because we don't always censor stuff. So some of our videos get put in the naughty camp. So all that stuff is good for YouTube. Let's see here. Cook Boo says for $4.99, when you think you can create a doc, you'll think you'll get the actual facts from a reliable source like you. Yeah, but some people just try to put it together as quickly as possible, or rather they try to put it from easy sources without following up. But I would still say overall good production value. So that's my rating on that. The Korean law stuff, kind of a miss at the end, but that's why you come over to my channel. That's why you're here. So we'll take care of that on this channel. All right, guys, we're at 2 hours. So we will have more RK updates and the bombshell stuff we're dropping next week. Just wait for it. Just be calm. It's coming. It's coming. And we will talk to you guys later. Until then, let Johnny and Ramsey do some coping and some...
You are coping the seething. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping the seething. The truth it is all day, and now you are more than you.